I'd like to call the order of the Mentor City Council October 17, 2023 regular meeting. Invocation will be given by Councilperson Blake.
Heavenly Father, we thank Thee for this day. Help us to use good judgment for the business at hand and guide us in wisdom with a continuing sense of truth and fairness for the community we represent.
Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Blake?
Here.
Mr. Donovan?
Here.
Mrs. Dowling? Here. Mr. Freeman?
Here.
Mr. Kirschner?
Here.
Mr. Krieger?
Here.
Mr. Marne?
Here. Council, you're in receipt of the minutes of September 19, 2023 work session and September 19, 2023 regular meeting.
Move to approve the minutes of the work session for September 19th.
Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Move to approve the regular meeting minutes from September 19th, 2023.
Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Council, we do have a public hearing. It's the first thing on the agenda. There's an application for a, let's see, there's no number. All right, Julie, can you please read that?
An application for a conditional use permit to allow a hotel building greater than 35 feet in height at 8341 Tyler Boulevard, permanent parcel number 16B040A00010011012 and 016-0 in the B2 General Business District by AVA Group and MMI Holding LLC.
Thank you. I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Zeman and give him a few words on this.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Council, as you know, this is an administrative act pursuant to the Code of Ordinances. Two members of council requested the conditional use permit for the subject height of this building to be reviewed by council. You're hearing this effectively de novo. In other words, it's not an appeal of the Planning Commission's decision. You're going to make a decision tonight. If you're ready to make a decision tonight based on the testimony that will be presented tonight, without any deference to the Planning Commission. Now, in order to comply with various sections of the revised code, we're going to do things in the following procedures. First, both members of the all members of the administration who may be speaking tonight on this, as well as from the applicant, all of their representatives, and any members of the public who may be speaking on this tonight, I'm going to swear you in so that your testimony here is under oath. For the members of the public who may speak, you have to understand this is sort of a bifurcated hearing. So you're allowed to have you're allowed as a member of the public to speak on the issue. First, the President of Council will ask anyone who's interested in speaking for it to be heard, anyone speaking against it to be heard, and frankly, if you're anywhere in the middle or you're not even sure, you still have an opportunity to be heard. Now, do keep in mind, though, because we are afforded legal protections here on the part of the property owner, that if you do choose to speak tonight, it means that a representative of the city or a representative of the property owner can ask you some questions, whatever might be relevant to the matter at hand. Now, for the public hearing, it's very, very important for members of the public to understand, once the public hearing is closed, that is the end of your opportunity to be heard. So if you're on the fence about whether or not you want to speak on this issue tonight, you should talk. If you're thinking you're going to wait and see what everybody else has to say, again, you will lose your opportunity to speak. You're not going to be afforded that second opportunity. Once it's closed, it is closed. Then procedurally, the applicant will put on whatever individuals who may want to speak about their issues, be them, the representatives that they have. If they've got any documents, those will be presented to the council for its consideration. And again, members of the administration may also have information that's presented by council. Now, members of representative administration may have questions for representatives speaking on behalf of the applicant and vice versa. Members of council may have questions, either for members of the administration or for members of the applicant. In terms of what might be relevant, obviously tonight is about the height of a building, and the President of Council has the authority to keep it to that specific issue. So if it's getting too far afield into matters that aren't relevant to the decision at hand, the President of Council has the opportunity to basically say it's time to move on from that line of questioning or those types of statements. Once the matter is closed, council may tonight discuss the matter and by motion vote on whether it should be approved or not, or approved with conditions or not. It may, if it's not ready to act tonight, table it, and then at a subsequent public meeting, make a decision at that time if their members are ready to do so. So with that, if I may swear everyone in. So, and again, if anyone going to speak on this, either members of the administration or representatives, if you please stand, I'll ask you to raise your right hand, and I'll swear you in. And that, members of the public as well, thank you. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is true and accurate to the best of your knowledge, so help you God, or upon penalty of law? Thank you. As you come up to the mic, we'll just recognize for the record that you've been sworn in. If anybody comes in late, we'll swear them in at that time. So with that, thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Joe. If the applicant is here, you can come up and speak first. Please give your name and address to the clerk.
Good evening. My name is David Novak. I'm the president of Barrington Consulting Group. The address is 9114 Tyler Boulevard, Mentor, Ohio.
Mr. President?
Yeah.
If the record would reflect, Mr. Novak has been sworn in.
Yes.
Thank you.
I just have a quick brief statement, and then I have a couple other gentlemen here this evening that would like to make comments regarding the hotel. As I'm sure most of you understand or are aware, that we're proposing a 4-story 120-room hotel at 8341 Tyler Boulevard. The site is bordered to the north by Route 2 and just west of the Giant Eagle at City Market. The hotel will be located in the heart of the city, just down the road from the new Cleveland Clinic Hospital. We are close to the Mentor School, ice arena, and the state-of-the-art Mentor Civic Amphitheater. Many of the nearby attractions that Mentor has to offer. We know this hotel will be an asset to the city. Just a brief history. The Planning Commission first reviewed this project at their March 23rd meeting. At the March 23rd meeting, we discussed the city's desire to have a second access point to the site. Our team worked for 4 months to obtain that easement to get a second access point to the site, to the Giant Eagle site. We also discussed some of the architectural elements of the building. Since then, we've added stone along the center section of the building all the way up to the line, which is at a gable. We also added stone to the stair towers on both ends of the building. Once the access easement was obtained, we came back to the city on September the 7th for preliminary approval. There was some discussion regarding the easement and the building height. We also discussed that the fire department was okay with our plan with 2 conditions. One, that the attic space would be built with non-combustible materials, and number 2, that the landscape mulch would be stone or non-combustible material, both of which we've agreed to. We have agreed to all the stipulations, worked with the administration to architecturally and so forth to meet all of the questions or concerns. So I'm going to have Sal and Mike come up, and they can just give you a little bit more insight to the hotel itself.
Yeah. Mr. Novak, I'm going to get into the public hearing first.
Okay.
Thank you
Okay.
very much.
Yep, thank you.
Appreciate it. Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor of this project? Is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition of this? Sir, come on up and give your name and address for the clerk.
Good evening. My name is Pat Connor. I'm at 5650 Emerald Court. This is the first time I've ever had a chance to speak in front of such a distinguished audience as this. I grew up in Mentor, went to Fairfax Elementary School. My parents built their first home here on Ridgewood Road, went to Memorial Junior High, graduated from Mentor High School in 1985, and then moved out to Seattle after graduating from Cleveland State. I just moved back 3 weeks ago to an extended stay here in the city without knowing and looking into it before I did, and I have to tell you, I've never in my entire life decided to come and speak about a situation as I am to talk to you tonight. The extended stay that I'm staying in right now has got to be one of the most dangerous places that you could ever stay in this city. One of the most dangerous. I've had fire alarms that have gone off in the middle of the night, 2 in the morning. There was a fire alarm that went up just the other day, and I spoke to the fire department on Heisley Road. They said it's been doing it for 2 years. They send people over, they turn off the alarm, and but the thing that I'm really concerned about is people don't even come out of their units anymore. They say, it's just somebody smoking or somebody overcooking, and they stay in their units. I'm worried there's going to be a big fire or something bad will happen and people won't leave. They won't go out of and that's what the fire department's been concerned about too. It's been going on for over a year. We're talking drug activity, arguments, fighting, people up to all hours of the night. It is probably, again, one of the most difficult places I have to stay. Now, I know we want to try to stay on topic as much as possible, but I have to tell you,
Pat, that and stay on topic, and you were sworn in, correct?
yes.
All right, thank you.
Yes, I just want to say, I really have never had an opportunity to speak about something more important in my life as to the situation that I'm in right now. Now, the height of the building, I would be concerned about that too. I'm just concerned about the people that are staying in these places, the amount of time they're staying in these places, some that are staying here for as long as up to a year. That's not what the extended stays are supposed to be. They're supposed to be places for a temporary amount of time. So, like I said, I'm not in favor of this, and I'm not going to go into too many other details, but it was so important for me to come here today and voice my opinion. I want you all to look out here. How many people are showing up for something? You've got just a few people here. This is how important it is to me to take my time and come here tonight. So I hope that you consider this and think about what you would be doing we already have 3 in town already. I don't know if there's a need for another one. So I thank you and wish you the best.
Well, before you,
Yeah, he is. He's sworn in.
yes, but just a reminder, either the applicant representative or city representative may have a question or two for you, Mr. Connor.
Yes, sir.
Administration, any questions?
I think the record should reflect the applicant's representatives were shaking their head no. Sure. Thank you, Mr. Connor.
Thank you very much.
Okay, council, you're in receipt of the correspondence received pertaining to this matter. The public hearing is adjourned. What is your pleasure, council?
Proceed with the hearing.
Proceed with the...
Call the next
legislation. Complete the presentation.
Mr. Novak, you had some people who wanted to complete the presentation? Yes. Okay.
Won't you do that under this? Won't you do this under that, under the...
You can vote on it too. It's just a motion to approve or disapprove.
Yeah.
My name is Sal Shariar. I'm the president of Titan Hotel Group, 1123 Duesenberg Drive, Hummelstown, PA.
Thank you, Sal. And you were sworn in?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for having us this evening. And the hotel that we are proposing to build will be a quality hotel. We run and build and manage Marriotts and Hiltons. Residence Inn is an extended stay. Homewood Suites is an extended stay. As a matter of fact, Residence Inn is probably the #1 ranking Marriott hotel in its scale. So we build and manage quality and high-end hotels. So the building that we're proposing, a 4-story, that would allow us to build a quality hotel. So 78% of the new build hotels in the country are 4 stories and up. 10% are 6 stories and higher. So if we were to build a economy hotel, it would be 3 stories and below, but we're not here to build an economy hotel. We're here to build a quality hotel, and that's why it requires a 4-story building. It will have a presence from the highway, not just from an aesthetic standpoint, but it will be able to build a quality platform so that the first floor of the building will have some of the amenities, breakfast facilities and what have you, and the guest rooms above. So again, the footprint of the building and everything that we propose is really for a quality hotel. And then, so the part that I would also like to add is that extended stay it's maybe a misnomer, because what happens is even, families, when they're traveling on the road and they want to stay in a hotel, so an extended stay hotel that we are proposing to build, it will have some of the features that you won't find in a standard hotel. For example, every room will have a full-scale, full-service refrigerator, like what you have in an apartment building or in a it will have a microwave. It will have a cooktop. So a lot of times, especially what we found out during the pandemic, the families, when they're traveling, they like to, because of the pandemic situation, people, they don't like to eat out every night of the week. It gets expensive. So this will allow them to have the ability and the facility so they can do some warming food up and maybe do a little light cooking. So this is why we wanted to make sure that the extended stay adds a value. Now, as far as some people do stay longer than a day or two, we're talking about healthcare facilities. I mean, healthcare professionals, traveling nurses. Traveling nurses is the big part of what we consider long-term stay. So they're high quality and high level of professionals in the hospitality. I mean, the hospital and the healthcare industry. So we're going to go after that. We actually have a couple of sales team members that are focused on going after the healthcare facility providers, and we're in the backyard of the Cleveland Clinic. So I know the Mentor just had their first hospital after a long time. It opened up in July. So it will bring up a lot of folks. The healthcare professionals will be traveling to this area. And so our goal is to attract that type of clientele. And so be it a extended stay clientele that are healthcare professionals or family members traveling, we wanted to build a hotel that would
Not to
complement.
interrupt, but this is about the height of the building?
Yes, so
I understand where you're going,
so
but yeah.
the height of it is, so to build a quality hotel, as I mentioned to you, 4 stories and up is really that presents the high value and high quality. And we also have, I think, gave you all the information that you wanted from us in the last time, that the quality of the hotel, if we build something less than a quality, then maybe a 3-story and below. So we're really not proposing to build a motel or a less than a high quality. So the 4-story is the requirement for us to build the.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. President, can I ask? Sir, you indicated Marriott and Hilton and that. Is this going to be a Marriott or Hilton?
So we are going to be building either a Marriott or a Hilton or an ISG or a Choice. So until we really have a approved approval on the location, we cannot get to which of the 4 brands that we will. We don't go after any other brands, but the Marriotts, Hiltons, ISG,
Could you
and Choice.
nail it down to maybe a Marriott or a Hilton, based on the fact that if it was one of those 2, that we would approve the 4 stories?
We have to reach out to all four brands.
I know, that's what I'm
Yes,
saying.
yes.
Could you reach out to them and say, would you, Marriott or, Hilton, if we get the 4 stories, would one of you be the operator?
Well,
I'd rather have that than not knowing that it's a Choice or an ICG, or
right.
I prefer the first 2.
Right. So we are, once we have the approval, we will finalize which brand that we'll be able to get.
See, and I'm trying to say, I'd like to
I
have it the
understand
other
that,
way
yes.
around. Okay.
But normally, we have to get the approval first for the site before we can get a commitment from the
Well, usually you
from the
can get a
brand.
commitment from the, if I get you, if I can go to the city and get you this commitment, will you operate the hotel? That's another way to do it business-wise.
Right, but yeah.
Okay.
Thank
Mr. Blake?
I have a question for the applicant. You say that this has to be 4 stories high to be a quality hotel. Nothing surrounding you is more than 2 stories, as I see. So you're going to dominate the landscape there with 4 stories. But if you have 120 rooms and you wanted to stay within our code, you could take the 30 rooms, and if you split it up by 4, and put them to the side, which would give you the footprint of 10 rooms. You're on 4.5 acre lot there. I think there's plenty of room to do that. And you would stay within code, and we wouldn't have to be here tonight. Have you have you entertained that idea of?
We have looked into that. The first floor has a lot of the amenities, like because you see, that takes up, it's a much wider footprint. So we would not be able to build a number of rooms. Would be economically, would not be feasible. So we're looking for the fourth-story building so we can accommodate the extended stay, the suites, I'm talking about the suites, as well as the footprint for the amenities we have to have on the first floor. Typically, a hotel, if it's just rooms, that would be different. But we would have the amenities on the first floor level. That restricts us from, going with the three-story building.
I understand that, but you've got a lot of room there in 4.5 acres. I think that you could build a quality hotel and stay within our code of 35 feet. And so my question is, is that something you've looked at? I could see some wonderful designs that would build on what you're doing there and still be able to stay within that. Is that a possibility?
Well, I think that we've looked into that, and you will see all the new buildings that are being built by the brands. They're going after the four-story building, not really going with the three-story building. The three-story doesn't give the look and the feel and the aesthetics of a quality hotel.
But still, like I started saying, everything around you is 2 stories. You're going to really dominate that with 4 stories. And then you're probably going to put your sign at the top there, if the BZA allows you to, looking out over the freeway.
The sign will be on the building itself because it'll be done tastefully on the building, but it won't be standing up above the building. It'll be on the face of the building.
Right, but it'll be at the 4th floor. So what I'm getting at is how this is not really compatible, in my opinion, compatible with the surrounding neighborhood. Across the freeway, you've got residential. I don't know if anybody's looked at how that will impact them, because they'll look out their windows and see your sign on the 4th floor. To me, I think the building's just too high, and that's why our code reflects a 35-foot maximum.
Thank you, sir.
There were other approvals of the existing hotels that is more than 35 feet, a 4-story building. So that kind of gives you an impression of why we're looking for a 4th floor.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Do you have another speaker, Mr. Novak? Please give your name and address to the clerk. Thank you.
I'm Mike Beck, 9104 Kitchen Farms Way in Wake Forest.
Mike, you were sworn in, correct?
I was sworn in, yes.
Thank you, sir.
Just to address the height questions, as Sal pointed out, Marriott and Hilton both are going to look more favorably on an application that's a 4-story building than a 3-story building. That could be a problem. We could find ourselves conflicted between council's preferences and the brand's preferences. We don't know what brand we'll have among these 4 franchisor groups that have several brands, as I'm sure you're aware. We don't know which brand we'll qualify for. We don't know if it'll be a Hilton or a Marriott because we don't know if that's what'll get approved. We do know if we don't get one of those 4, which are the 4 biggest franchisor hotel companies in the country, and the highest quality and the best. If we don't get one of those 4, we're just not doing it. To reduce it to 2 brands would, puts us in a little bit of a. We just don't want to handcuff ourselves like that, as I'm sure you understand. The same's true with limiting the height to 3 stories because it'll reduce the quality of our application. That's it. And I think Sal made this point, but just to reiterate, a 120 room hotel in 4 stories doesn't have 30 on each floor. Most of those rooms are on the top 3 floors, so it'd be, I don't know exactly in this one, but you see the math. There's a lot of sort of core square footage dedicated on the first floor, so maybe it's 35. Points taken, still 4.5 acres there, but we wouldn't want to do that because we think we'd be more attractive, frankly, as a 3-story proposition. We think we'd be more attractive to lesser quality brands that we don't want to build.
Thank you, Mr. Bach.
Thank you.
Mr. President,
Mr. Martin.
a question, please. Mike, question, please. Now, I realize that you went through the application process of the administration and the planning commission, and 4 stories is needed for the blueprint for a quality establishment to take over and run this indefinitely. My question, I understand that point of it. My real question is that you keep on, and all 3 of us said that if it's 3 stories, it's not as high of a quality tenant that I'm sure that you people don't want to have and we don't want to have.
Right.
So how does it stay a high quality? Because you see a lot of these hotels/motels in, let's just say, Northeast Ohio, and one day it's a Fairfield, next day it's a Motel 6. So by building 4 stories and having a Hilton or a Marriott, well, how do you keep it that way indefinitely so we don't have problems like the other gentleman
Right.
said that he just came back from Seattle and there's issues?
Yeah, thank you for the question. I think your question in a way addresses the former speakers. Thank you for your statement as well. You're right. Hotels can become hotel, and any other business and any other thing can become less than it was intended to be in its inception. Just because it's an extended stay hotel doesn't make it any more likely to become a flop house than if it were not an extended stay hotel. I would say the reason that we're sure that in the near run and even in the long run this is not going to become a flop house is because we don't sell our hotels. Most of you have probably been to the Titan Hotel Group website. You've seen the 20 or so hotels that we've developed you see the 3 or 4 more that are in under construction. You see the brands that we develop. They're exactly what I'm telling you that we're going to do. And you'll also see since our company's inception, we've sold 1 property, special circumstance, but we don't sell these. We intend to keep them for a long time, which speaks to the likelihood that these are going to continue to be quality hotels for a long time. They'll be quality hotels because we'll identify ourselves with quality brands. We will manage the hotels ourselves. Sal is the president of our management company. He personally will be running these hotels, or his management group will be, and we'll own the hotels for a long time. So far, we haven't sold but 1. So.
Thank you, sir. Administration, anybody else have any questions?
I had a quick question. Would you agree that this would change the character of that neighborhood, though, in that it's a 4-story, you're putting a 4-story in the midst of 1- and 2-story buildings?
I heard that argument.
Retail,
I'm sorry.
and also retail, and also some of the, I think there's an insurance company next door. Do you agree that that changes the character somewhat?
I heard that argument, and no, I'm not persuaded that it would. I think people expect hotels to be taller than grocery stores.
But I mean, in this neighborhood, when I say character of the neighborhood, I mean this particular neighborhood, where you have a mix of retail, which is next door, which is a 1-story, 1.5-story Giant Eagle, and then you have a small, one-story insurance company, and then more down the line, sort of like that on that side of the street. That's what I'm saying. So you'd have this large
Right.
hotel, 120-room hotel, 4-story, in the midst of all this other smaller developments.
I think I'm not persuaded by that. No, I think it's very possible to even with a tall building to do it tastefully and in a way that's not inconsistent with its environments or otherwise, obnoxious or objectionable.
So you don't think so you think it would be in harmony with the other buildings in that neighborhood or in that area?
I don't think the height in and of itself makes it, impossible to look good.
Well, it's not a question of looking good, it's a question of harmony and whether it fits, how that fits into that area, that's the question. A 3-story probably would be something that would be questioned as well, but this is a 4-story, so that's why I asked the question. These are all conditions, or questions that some of the, what conditions you need to meet in order to have a CUP, that they have to meet those. So that's why I brought those up. There's obviously others in there too, but those are 2 that really seem to stick out.
Yeah.
But thank you.
I understand the question. I don't think so.
Thank you, Mr. Beck. Council, you're in receipt of all correspondence received pertaining to this matter. This public hearing is adjourned.
Let's see if they have anything further. Whether or not they're done with their presentation or
Are
not.
you guys finished with your presentation? I'm sorry about that. Okay, thank you.
So let's also, I think, Mr. President, if I may.
Yes, sir.
In terms of documents that the council has, I believe there's the application itself, staff report, and maybe for the record, we could just identify anything else that council has as part of the record for tonight's hearing. Is that everything?
Well, Mr. President?
I can do it now. You want me to? Okay. Mr. Beck, we just wonder, what's your position? Are you, for the record?
Oh, okay.
I'm an employee of the developer, and I do real estate for them.
Thank you very much. Mr. Kirschner?
I just gave, go ahead, Joe.
So, Mr. President, again, we have the, as part of the record tonight, so the applicant is aware, you should already have these documents. If you don't, please let us know. We've got the staff report that was prepared for tonight's meeting, October 17th, 2023. The council is ordinarily, and part of the record tonight, is in receipt of the Planning Commission minutes of September 7th, 2023. Obviously, your application is part of the record. And I guess, Mr. President, we just want to see whether or not the applicant has any additional documents that it wants to present and make part of the record here tonight.
Mr. Novak?
No, we don't have any other documents to.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Okay, council, one more time. The public hearing is adjourned, and council, what is your pleasure?
On this issue,
Yes, sir.
I'd move to approve.
Are we going to hear comments from administration?
I already asked them. They're done. They're done.
Okay. I'm just
Mr.
kind of looking at me like they're not.
Mr. Flippia?
Well, no, thank you, Council. Mrs. Cantanzariti has prepared the record for you, and happy to, if you'd like a similar presentation to that which she would have otherwise given to the Planning Commission, we're happy to do that or answer any questions you might have. It's Council's pleasure.
Well, we have that.
Right.
Yeah, I think we're just going to stick with answering questions for now. Thank you. All right. We have a motion. We need a second.
Second?
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Blake?
No.
Mr. Donovan?
No.
Mrs. Dowling?
No.
Mr. Freeman?
No.
Mr. Kirchner?
No.
Mr. Krieger?
No.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
This public hearing, this conditional use, pardon me?
If I may.
Go ahead.
Generally, council, findings of fact and conclusions of law are then entered into the record. That's to comply with various other legal issues. Now, you may not be prepared to do that tonight. In other words, each member who voting against it would express why, pursuant to code, they feel that the criteria for issuance of a conditional use permit was not met pursuant to your vote. You need not do that tonight. You could wait until your next meeting if you choose to have a little bit of additional time to gather your thoughts and make those specific findings. That's your choice.
Council, you choose to do that? That's what we're going to do. All right? Pardon me? We are going to present our no's at our next meeting.
Well, do you want them all at once, or do you want?
No,
some-
next meeting, we could tell why we
I'm
voted
fine
no.
waiting until then.
Unless
No.
you wanted to do it tonight. You still have that choice at this
I
moment.
know.
All right, we're going to go next meeting. Now where you need another, so this motion failed. It failed. We are moving on. We have new legislation. Ordinance number 23-0-077.
An ordinance amending Section 505.01K of the codified ordinances of the City of Mentor 2006 as amended to add Canada geese to the definition of a nuisance health risk animal and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Flippia, anything on this?
No, Council, I know that this was added at Council's request to the agenda, and I would just say that the administration will certainly support this. We've had a lot of complaints over the years Not a whole lot of ability to resolve most of those because of the protected status of the Canada goose, but this certainly falls into the category of nuisance animals and creates health risks and problems for our residents that have been proved to be so for years now, so we would support this.
Thank you, sir. Counsel?
Mr. President?
Mr. Blake?
You know, I looked over this pretty carefully, and thank you, Janet, for what you had added about, you know, the health risks. But, you know, up at our parks, we discourage the feeding of ducks and geese because what people bring to them is not even healthy for the ducks or the geese, whether it's cracked corn or bread. So I just kind of find it hard to believe that people are feeding geese. I mean, they're usually eating grass, which is what their healthy food source is. So I just wanted to add that. I never thought that we'd have to have an ordinance to place them on the nuisance list, but here we go.
Counsel?
President?
Mrs. Dowling?
Just, you know, we did have a residence that expressed their concerns pretty eloquently, and, but Sean, I can assure you, there are people that feed them. I had a neighbor that had a 3-foot shell that kept in their front yard and kept it filled, and I still have a neighbor that feeds geese, so I basically, as I said, I've given the back of my property over, the geese have it. My docks are covered. I don't even bother keeping up with it. But I can understand, especially in these residential neighborhoods, the newer residential neighborhoods, you know, it is a problem, and it is a health risk.
Thank you, Councilperson
President.
Dowling. Mr. Marr?
And just to echo Mrs. Dowling's comments, we also have people from other areas of the city, even outside of the city, coming into our city and
feeding our geese.
in different parts, so that way the geese leave where they live into different,
And come and feed our geese.
yeah. So it's.
They love our geese so much they want to feed them.
It's a lot of geese.
Counsel, where are we at on this? Do we have a?
Go ahead, Mr. Kircher, go ahead.
I move to suspend.
Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Move to approve.
Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Thank you. Ordinance number 23-0-077 is approved, and to anybody watching or listening, this, if the law director, if I'm correct, will come into play 30 days from now? Is that correct?
No, it's
Is there
a,
a date?
it's an emergency.
Is it immediately?
It will be immediately
All right, thank you,
effective
sir.
if you sign it.
Appreciate it. All right. Ordinance number 23-0-078.
An ordinance to authorize transfers of funds, advances of funds, and revisions to appropriations and declaring an emergency.
Flippia.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Malinowski, please.
Thank you, Mr. Filipiak. Members of council, this ordinance does three things. Firstly, it authorizes the approval of 3 permanent cash transfers from 3 different funds of the city's public funds to primarily close out road projects. Secondly, it authorizes a temporary cash advance out of the city's general fund to fund the Heisley Road resurfacing fund. Some engineering costs are required there with cash. And then finally, there are a few appropriation revisions as noted in the staff memo here that it authorizes. I would recommend approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Malinowski. Counsel?
Move to suspend.
Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes. Move to approve.
Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Ordinance number 23-0-078 is approved. Council, we have a resolution, 23-R-118.
A resolution authorizing the city manager to prepare and submit a 2024 Transportation for Livable Communities Initiative Implementation Program grant application to the Northeast Ohio Area Coordinating Agency for Financial Assistance to fund a bicycle lane on Hopkins Road and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Flippia.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is the last component that is needed for us to submit a full application for the Hopkins Road Bikeway project, which we've spoken about a lot over the years. It isn't often that we're able to identify opportunities for significant funding of this type. This is an 80-20 match. It's approximately a $3.5 million estimated project, and I can't guarantee you that we will get the money, but we're pleased with the application. And Kevin Grippy, our grants coordinator, is here. If you have any questions for him, he put this together.
Yeah, Mr. President,
Blake?
and you know I'm excited about this.
Yes.
All right, this is something that I really believe that we need. Right now, we have Sharrows. Sharrows are great, but what's even greater is to be able to put the bicycles in the bicycle lane and the cars in the car lane. My question is, because I'm... Well, I do like Sharrows. They're better than no Sharrows. But my question is when would we learn whether we get this grant? And what would the hopeful timeline be on getting these lanes installed? Because I know it's a big job. There's sewers that have to be moved or reconfigured, 87 driveway aprons. So how fast can we get these how long will it take for them to decide?
I'll defer to our city engineer for a question of that sort, but Mr. Grippy?
He's over here.
Can you speak to the question of when the grants will be, winners would be announced?
The announcement will be made at NOACA's March meeting coming up next year, and it will take approximately a year to design and start construction.
Okay, so 2 years then, March,
Approximately, yes.
and then a year for design and then construction, so,
I believe the NOACA meeting is the second Friday in March of '24.
because people will ask. There's a lot of people down in South Mentor who really want those bike lanes. So
Well-
that's why I ask these questions. And
Councilman Blake, we've already been notified that they're seriously considering our application, and if they do approve, they're going to require additional public meetings.
Okay, good. So if there's anything that I could do to help this process along personally, right there for you.
We appreciate that, Councilman, and you'll note as part of your council's packet, there are several letters in here of support. Obviously, our letter of support accompanying the project, but letters to Commissioner Hamercheck, letter of support from the school district, and some others. So I think it's pretty well supported, and the city has a good record of completing successfully these type of bikeway projects in years past using similar funding sources. So that all bodes well in our favor. So we'll hope for the best.
I remember when we first talked about this probably 7 years ago, I was told that bike lanes were $1 million a mile, and I was shocked.
A little more
Not
now.
as shocked as I am now. Thank you.
Mr. President,
Mr.
I was able to get that letter from Bike Cleveland to, and I would say that they carry a lot of weight in Northeast Ohio. You go through Cleveland, there's a lot of bike lanes in Cleveland, and they're the ones that are primarily responsible for pushing NOACA and the city of Cleveland and other entities to do that. So hopefully, I know these aren't always easy to get, but it's nice to hear that you were saying they're looking favorably on it, so that's good news. Thank you.
Counsel?
Move to suspend.
Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Move to approve.
Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Resolution number 23-R-118 is adopted. We have another resolution, number 23-R-119.
A resolution authorizing the city manager to accept a financial assistance from the Ohio Environmental Protection Agency's VW Diesel Mitigation Trust Grant Program to provide 75% of the cost of an electric school bus and charging station and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Flipiak, I see you smiling. You must love this.
I guess
good,
it's no
yeah.
surprise to anyone that we're entering the electric age of transportation once again, right? Council, I'm actually very pleased to inform you that we applied for, and we're the only city in Ohio to receive funding for an all-electric school bus, essentially. Council, you're aware that we utilize our school buses for our after-school programs and our summer camps. Occasionally, with large groups, we'll even utilize them for senior center trips and activities. We currently have a very small fleet comparatively, just a few buses that we use. This grant is actually made available to the Ohio EPA through settlement dollars from the Volkswagen diesel litigation and settlement agreement from some years back. This would allow us to purchase a single electric bus. We would be removing 2 of our current diesel buses from our fleet, one that's inoperable and is already essentially out of the fleet, and another that is a 2004 model year with high mileage and high maintenance costs currently. So this is a big win for us, not just from the standpoint of being able to offset the majority of the cost, but it reinforces our sustainability commitment on all the many projects that we've talked about over the years here. I know it's important for much of the segment of our community, and I know the council supported similar projects in the past. So with your approval of this, we would move forward to go through the procurement process. We would bid this out. There are several different buses available, different vendors out there, so we would handle this like any other public bid, and hopefully be able to incorporate this into our fleet sometime in early '24.
Thank you, sir. Counsel?
Mr. President. Go ahead.
Freeman. I'm sorry. Mr. Freeman. He
Just
hasn't
a
spoke yet.
Question, how many electric powered vehicles do we currently have?
0.
So this will be our first?
This would be our first.
Do we have maintenance capabilities for these vehicles, or are we?
Yeah, we've talked about that. That we feel quite confident. Mr. Schweikert has spent a lot of time thinking about exactly that. We feel pretty confident that our staff and mechanics would be able to manage that. We also know that with the positive relationship we have with Lake Tran, who also was moving in this direction, that we would be able to share some maintenance activities that we're incapable of performing with them. So we will be reaching out to them as well.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Blake?
Mark asked my question. Good job, Mark, but.
Great minds.
And how about, do we have a
This-
charging station already for it? No,
sorry?
we need a charging station?
So part of this grant includes the commitment of the city to install a charging station, but as council is aware, we have an existing charging station that is utilized by the public and also could be used by us at Garfield Park, two in fact.
Thank you, sir. Counsel?
Mr. President.
Oh, Mr. Blake?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask one silly question. This is a full-size school bus, right?
Correct.
Like okay,
I
thank you.
think 40 passengers, I want to say. Again, Mr. Grippy is responsible for the successful application, and if you have any specific questions about that, I'm sure he'd be happy to answer
72
them.
passenger.
Oh, that's a big one.
Bigger yet.
72 is the standard size for all school buses in America.
Thank you, sir.
40 really big students.
The football team, yeah.
Move to suspend.
Julie, please call a roll.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Move to approve.
Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes.
Mr. Kirchner?
Yes.
Mr. Krieger?
Yes.
Mr. Marne?
Yes.
Resolution number 23-R-119 is adopted. Second readings, we have none. Third readings, we have none. Managers report.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of council. Council, the newly updated Mentor Visitor Guide is now available and is the source to find out where to eat, shop, play, and stay in our city. As many residents know, Mentor is home to over 300 retailers and 175 eateries, and we want to remind our residents to support our local businesses and shop locally whenever you can. 68 cents of every dollar spent locally stays local. In addition, you'll find great information on our local attractions in the city of Mentor. A free copy of our visitor's guide is available at the Mentor Municipal Center and other city facilities, or it can be downloaded at www.visitmentor.com. Trick-or-treating in the city of Mentor will be on Tuesday, October 31st, from 6 to 8 p.m. And as is usually our case, we will be adding additional police and fire personnel to make sure that our children have the safest environment possible that evening. Tomorrow, Mentor Safety Forces will finish up Mentor Safety Village school visits. When complete, every third grade class in the city will have participated in this year's lessons on fire safety, water safety, trick-or-treat safety, and they will have toured the fire museum as well as learned about much of our fire equipment. Approximately 600 students in total will go through this year's program. Ozzie Road pavement milling, intermediate course paving, full-depth repairs, and casting adjustments are all complete. We expect that the surface course for Heisley installation will take place the evenings of October 24th and 25th. That's, of course, weather dependent, both in terms of temperature and rain. So we're going to try to make sure we get that in before the paving season closes out. And also, the Center Street Bridge is currently on schedule to be open to all lanes of traffic in early November. If the weather cooperates, ODOT is hoping to complete the painting of the east parapet wall prior to opening those 4 lanes. So, as we had all hoped, traffic pattern has been really very successful on that, and we should be open before the snow flies. And then finally, Council, we have some new businesses to announce. Discount Fashion Warehouse at 7900 Plaza Boulevard. Genesis of Mentor at 8494 Tyler Boulevard. Mr. Malachek and I had a chance to visit there and get a tour of that facility. Absolutely gorgeous. Maybe certainly one of the most attractive car dealerships probably in all of Ohio. Rain Check Golf at LLC at 8613 Tyler Boulevard. Puff Lagoon at 8294 Lakeshore Boulevard. Shingle and Metal Roofs LLC at 7840 Tyler Boulevard. And Junk Luggers of Mentor at 7609 St. Clair. So as you can see, again, a great variety of businesses attracted to our economy here, and we wish them all great success going forward. That's all.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Clerk's correspondence?
Council is in receipt of a new liquor license request for Aces Restaurant Group LLC, doing business as Savoria Bar and Grill at 7703 Reynolds Road. Also, a liquor transfer from Deekers Entertainment LLC, doing business as Deekers, to Dorkfish Enterprise, Inc., doing business as All Aboard at 8455 Station Street. Council is also in receipt of the Mentor Municipal Court monthly reports for July and August of 2023. That is all.
Thank you. Commission and committee reports? Council, you're in receipt of the Municipal Planning Commission, September 7th, 2023. Board of Building and Zoning Appeals, September 12th, 2023. Old business. Council, on the old business?
Mr. President.
Mr. Freeman.
We had a recent work session regarding recreational projects. I didn't get a sense, would it make sense, I know that we're going into budget discussions, would it make sense for us to have another one? Because it seems like we have a lot of ground to still cover, or is the expectation we're going to do that during budget discussions?
Councilman Freeman, I think it would be a really good use of time to maybe have a separate meeting for that ahead of the budget discussions, to not really bog down those budget meetings. I think it's a great idea.
Okay. Well, I would ask we should consider that, because it seems like we only got about halfway through the itinerary. So.
Would that work at our next council meeting, our work session? Is that what would that?
We could certainly be prepared
Okay.
for that if
All right,
that's
we'll talk
council's
about that
desire.
later. All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Freeman. New business?
Mr. President, if there's
Sure.
no other new business, I have a motion to approve the 2024 regular meeting schedule with the following changes. We cancel the January 16th meeting due to it being only a week apart from the January 9th organizational meeting, and also canceling the July 16th and August 6th meetings for summer hiatus, and the December 17th meeting to break for the holiday season, and to change the start times of the June 4th, June 18th, July 2nd, and August 20th meetings to 5:30 p.m. to allow staff and administration to perform the responsibilities related to the Men of Rock series.
Second.
Julie, please call the roll.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mrs. Dowling?
Yes.
Mr. Freeman.
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner.
Yes.
Mr. Krieger.
Yes.
Mr. Marr.
Yes.
Thank you. We do have a person before council tonight, Nancy Schott. Nancy, please come up, give your name and address to the clerk. And you have 4 minutes, Nancy.
Heavy stuff you guys are.
Nancy, you can lower that mic if you want. So,
Good?
appreciate, yes.
Okay. My issue is social, so please bear with me. My address is 7626 Fairview Avenue, Mentor resident and senior center member. I'm here tonight to address the shuttering of the 615 doors of the senior center. For some background, they were open prior to the pandemic, and in May of '22, I presented to Cananita a petition of 50-plus signatures requesting opening those doors. We, the Bridge Group only, were granted a trial run. It was terminated recently for failure to achieve 100% scan-in. However, in truth, failure occurred to both doors, not just 615, and there were also IT issues. Don't you think that 99.9% is acceptable? We are good people, just sometimes forgetful. Closing the 615 doors causes unnecessary struggle for some, inconvenience for others, whose destination is at the west end of the building. Some now need to use drivers so they can be dropped off at the curb, and yet still require a couple of rest stops to get down the long hall. I took some videos of members struggling with their walkers over the 200-plus feet. Unfortunately, my phone said they were too long for transmission, but I believe the diagram I made of their path went through to you all. I hope you viewed it. And as you can see, it is a mere 30-plus feet if using the 615 doors, compared to the 200-plus feet using the Munson Road doors. Tonight, as we gather here, you will find our cars clustered by the entrance. It's convenient, efficient, even smart. Closure of the 615 doors denies that to the seniors. I need to address a couple of points that have been rumored. Security. There is no external threat. No big bad wolf. If there was, the doors wouldn't have been open previously, nor would we have been granted a trial, and they would have put up a security camera. There is no camera. The real issue is members. 100% compliance by members who are sometimes forgetful. If they claim they have 100% compliance at the Munson doors, then install the same procedure at the 615 doors. I understand they will install signs that say reserved for persons with limited mobility. I brought that to Nita's attention as I had viewed them at the Willoughby Y. But no matter where they are placed, it is no benefit to those making the long interior walk to the west end. Until recently, the staff used convenient parking themselves, 4 of them to the north side. After I reported that to Nita, the spaces became available to the seniors. Certainly not putting seniors before themselves. To be sure, there's a lot of positive at the senior center, but shuttering of the 615 doors is not one of them. Opening them would work if the administration wants it.
Nancy, your time's up, but I'm going to give you a couple more seconds. Go ahead.
The operative word is want. Closure is more convenient for them, but denies convenience to seniors. What do you want? Do you want the senior center to serve the seniors? Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Nancy. Council?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Meeting's adjourned.